If bum, 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 starting again. Hope you all come back. Ready now, start again. Bum, 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 ba da da dum, bum, ba da 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 dum. Bum, 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 bum. Bum 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 ba dum bum 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 ba da da dum bum bum ba da da. Can't hear me? You can. Great. Wonderful. But I don't see my friends. So let me see what I can add here. Audience, let's try that. Here we are. Here we are. Here's everyone. All good. You can hear me now. Great to see you all. Hello from Denver. And yay, I can hear you. Yay, 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 yay. Okay. We are cooking. Wonderful. Hey, hi. How are you? You're always looking good. It's wonderful to see everyone. I see everyone coming in. I love it. I love seeing my friends. So, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Joette Calabrese and I'm a homeopath. I've been doing this for 35 years. I've been teaching and studying and practicing. And I love doing this. I love turning people onto this. I have an ulterior motive. Want to know my ulterior motive? I want to get the other side. I do. I want to get the other side. I can I say this? I'd like to bury them. I mean it. I've so had it with big industry. I've so had it with big government. I've so had it with the big pharma. If we could get this movement really going, and it is going, folks, this is no longer a pipe dream. This is really happening. You see how many people come in here? This is just me on a Monday night. How about all the people you're influencing in your life? How about that? How about if we turn on so many people that they lose big market share? Could that happen? Hey, listen, I think we're at a pinnacle in society right now. Could happen. We could be at the precipice. And I'm not after the surgeons. No, I think surgery can be very useful, overused, but useful sometimes. I'm not after the diagnosticians. No, we need them. We're used, but we still need them. I'm after those who, when they see a child who's got an ear infection, they administer antibiotic and antibiotic and antibiotic, and then they give injection after injection after injection. Then they give allergy shots for 30 years. That whole paradigm needs to go with their brethren, the bloodletters. They used to bloodlet because they believed, in theory, that if you were sick, you had too much blood. Those were not the outsiders who did that. Those were the conventional doctors, mind you. So the doctors of today stem from that kind of thinking. Theory. Nothing substantiated, nothing like what we're going to do tonight. Because what we're going to do tonight is we're going to study about anxiety and hysteria. This remedy we're going to learn about tonight. Many of you already know, and that's a great thing. It's different than Ignatia because Ignatia's anxious and worried and fretful, etc. But this medicine's a little bit further than that. It's hysterical. There's hysteria. There's a sense of when a person gets sick, they have hysteria associated with it. So there can be hysterical cramps. So let's talk about it. Let's talk what medicine it is. Here's my materia medica. Should you be interested in following, and for those of you who don't have it, no problema. You can get it yourself later on if you'd like. Contact my office. Just go to my website and you can order it there. But if you don't, you can certainly use. There are a lot of materia medicas online these days. Boraki. Who else is online? Dr. James Tyler Kent. There are a lot of very good materia medicas online that you can read and use as your source. But it's also good to have something at home on your desk because who knows what happens if the internet goes down or whatever. You bet. Valeriana, page 124. Valeriana. I've got my notes in here. And Valeriana is a Valerian. And for those of you who have a background in botanicals, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about, right? You understand it. And what a great medicine it is as an herb. Now, it's not always like that in homeopathy. We also often find that in homeopathy, some of the best medicines are the ones that emanate from toxic substances. We love toxins in homeopathy because once it's diluted 200 times to the 100th power or 30 times to the 10th power, whatever method that we're choosing, that gets those toxins and drives them lower and lower and less and less and less and less and less. And meanwhile, the curative action comes to the fore. Now, when we start with something that is not toxic, it just makes it a lighter, gentler, lovelier medicine in many, many ways. So, Valeriana officinalis, Valeriana, Valeriana, just the way it sounds. That's what's so lovely about this. Latin is a beautiful language. It's what you see is what you get. The second word is officinalis, and it's a great medicine for when there is hysteria, when the person can't sleep. It doesn't have to always have hysteria, but this person is quite sensitive. And I'm sorry, ladies, but it's a much more feminine way of experiencing life than it is for men. I'm sorry. It's just the way it is. Men have their downfalls, we have ours, and we are more emotional, just in case you haven't noticed. And so it's used for nervous affections. I'm reading from my book right now, Hysteria and Oversensitivity. Now, I'm not talking about necessarily oversensitive to chemicals, although that can be it too. It's really a more central nervous system reaction. Okay. And the person may feel lightheaded as if floating. There are a lot of sensation with this Valeriana, and they may display changeable disposition. So one minute they're laughing, the next minute they're crying. Now that does remind us, wouldn't you say, of Ignatia? That's very much like Ignatia, 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 but it's still and Ignatia also covers sleep. It has an aspect of Ignatia, but Valeriana is not my first choice medicine. It's when the Ignatia or phosphoric acid or pulsatilla or some of these other medicines are not acting fully. Then I think, maybe we need some Valeriana. And it's certainly all right to use valerian root in mother tincture as well. Just plain old valerian root. Now, by the way, when I use botanicals, I don't buy them in capsules. I'm not saying you should never. And if you have no choice, I would certainly do that. But let's say you decide to get valeriana or valerian in botanical form. I always urge people to get it in tincture, mother tincture, because it lasts so much longer. It's an alcohol. Whereas when it's in capsules, it can dehydrate. It can, we don't know how long it's been around, but in alcohol, it's pretty good. So hold on. Let me just take a sip of my water. All right. Let's go. Let's see what else we've got here. That person can feel irritable and tremulous and may experience nighttime hallucinations. Now, again, I try to make this clear every single time, and that is don't think that it has to have hysteria, nighttime hallucinations, anxiety, etc., sleeplessness. It does not have to have all of these. We're looking for some. These are keynotes that I'm giving you. Keynotes are the most important aspects. These are keynotes I'm giving you. And with these keynotes, you're going to look for maybe two 3 is great. 3 keynotes is really good. It's a three-legged stool, as I always say. The person is changeable, and it's often within a short amount of time. Not, we all have our moods. Some days we're more uplifted, other days we're not. But this person who needs this Valeriana officinalis, and by the way, I would use it in a 200C most often, or the tincture. Um, this person who needs this is, um, you can actually see it within an hour or 5 minutes. Now, doesn't mean we can't, that too can be within the range of normal. But if you see it time and again, and then again, and this is someone who's kind of like a drama queen, um, someone who might be very interesting to be with because they feel life so deeply. And I actually am very attracted to people like that, who experience life on such a deep level that they can't help themselves but get very involved in whatever they're doing. It can be that kind of intensity, but it can also be trying for us because they can be a little too much. Now, I don't speak in terms of the Constitution or this is a Valeriana person. You know what I mean? I don't think that way. Used to think that way. So for those of you who are coming to me tonight, and have been studying or and following me here and there, if you're from my old days, 25 years ago, I apologize. Okay? Please excuse me. I was mistaken. I don't look at constitutions. I look at the condition. What is the condition? Now, here's the thing. If this person needs Valeriana because they're nervous and hysterical and they're too sensitive and they have a vertigo and insomnia, and they also happen to have herpes, Valeriana is not going to do it. It's going to work with the psychological, neurological aspects. It's not going to touch the herpetic eruptions. And but what if they also happen to have I don't know, osteoporosis? Is it going to help with that? No. We're not looking for one medicine to cover it all. That's not impossible. It's uncommon. And it's I'm going to be honest with you, for those of you who have any classical training, it's not very honest. Because honestly speaking, there are we have the three conditions there. We have the hysteria, right? We have the herpes eruption, and we have osteomyelitis. Those are three separate conditions that require three separate medicines. Now, if the osteoporosis is not a deal, I would let it go. Eat yogurt with the cream on top. Drink bone stock. You can work with that more readily. Now, if it's a severe case of osteoporosis and the person every time they step off the sidewalk they crack a bone or their teeth are chipping, okay, I get it. I get it. Now that's a hierarchy. We're taking that to the top and making that super important. But if we're talking about, oh well, I had a DEXA scan and the DEXA scan. Here we go with the diagnostics, the overdiagnoses syndrome that we have in our society today. Every woman's got osteoporosis. Give me a break. I'm sorry. I don't buy it. I just don't buy it. Well, it looks okay. It looks a little bit, I don't know, not as sturdy as it did 20 years ago. Hello. Yeah, and she also got a little belly that she didn't have 30 years ago either. No, if I see a problem, if she sees a problem, now we go after osteoporosis. Got it? Let's not freak out and believe every little test. In fact, I'm going to urge you to eschew the tests unless necessary. Now, again, I'm going to say parenthetically, tests can be very valuable, no doubt about it. But let's not just do them to have a little look see. You know what I mean? Let's put Vasco da Gama. Let's put him aside, okay? We're not going to go for a discovery in the human body just for the heck of it or just because we've turned 50, 60, 70, or 80. Let's go with what is real. What's real? Symptoms are real. Symptoms don't lie. And so when we look at Valeriana and it's a person that's got a lot of sensitivity and can't sleep. They also have abdominal problems and stomach problems, often associated with the neurological problems. Now we've got a case for using Valeriana 200. Valeriana officinalis 200C, and I would use it. Actually, I would use it maybe once a day for a period of time. How long? Well, generally for something like this, we would probably see a shift in this person in using this 200C once a day within a couple weeks, could be even a few nights. We might see that the sleep is becoming a little more restored. It's not perfect. It's not perfect, but it's becoming a little more restored. And then not only is the sleep a little more restored, we're also seeing, I'm not so nervous anymore. I'm not shaking my foot as much. I'm not worrying as much. I don't feel as much on the precipice of emotions all the time. I don't cry as often. I don't laugh as inappropriately. So we're seeing this kind of, that's what I mean by hysteria. The emotions are not centered. And there's vertigo as well. Now, someone say they have vertigo today. And so this is not what I would consider necessarily my first remedy for vertigo. I do have other ones that I like better, and you can do this vertigo, Joette Calabrese, and you will find the ones that I feel more strongly about. Oversensitivity, extreme nervousness. Yep. Lots of drama, insomnia, night hallucinations. You bet. Thank you. Nice little recap, Lisa. Now let's see my Facebook friends here. My 88-year-old mom is recovering from the C and got the mono C and antibodies and is recovering. Thank you, Lord. But is saying that she's feeling very depressed. I actually think my mom was okay with the option of this taking her out. But thankfully, she is still okay. So, depression after disease or after a cold or flu or um, infection, I want you to know, is ridiculously common. It's not just today, it's always been like that. People get depressed, especially after influenza. So we use the medicines that are specific for depression at any time. So this is what you do. Joette Calabrese, depression, and you'll find it on my blog. All righty, let's see what else we've got here. Let's see. Let's get some more people open up here. Boost the post. All right. Now let's see if we've got more folks coming in. Yep. Can you use the mother tincture if a person has a heart prolonged QT wave? I can't say that I know that that is an absolute acceptability, is acceptable. I will tell you that I personally would not be uncomfortable with something like that, but I would be judicious. I would use it, once and try it a few days later and see how things go. That's what I would do for myself or my family member. All righty. Trying to find a remedy for my daughter, anxious, regular stomach aches that make her fearful that she will throw up. Okay, so could this be something that we would use for anxiety and vomiting? We could. But as I said earlier, I really am in more favor of working with Ignatia. I usually start with Ignatia, especially for a young girl. All right. It's the ones that go way up somebody's talking about these tests, right? Yep, we're talking about the test. Oh, here. The questions are coming actually so quickly that I'm having a difficult time catching up with them. All righty. Yeah, I think people are remarking on what I said earlier. Yeah. Amen to being disgusted with government overreach. Husband may have to retire to avoid it. Doctor can't sign a medical release. Disgusting. Disgusting. His own doctor. Nope. No, 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 no. Valerian root is a wonderful nervine. That's a great way of putting it, Tracy. It is a nervine. Yes. It is a disgusting smell. It's a disgusting taste, not when it's homeopathically made, but certainly when it is in its original form in a tincture. Yes. Oh, thank you very much. You like my orange blouse? Valerian is not Valium. No, it is not Valium. Nope. Nope, nope, nope. No, it's actually a plant. Yes, in the same boat, hubby had to turn in his exemption, or else get it. Yep, I know it's amazing. Religious exemption info can be found at Life. What is it? Life News. I can't read it. Sorry. Somethingnews.com. Look it up at the way on the very top. All right, we'll do that. Also, thehealthyamerican.org. Must use the word thehealthyamerican.org. She's very good at helping folks understand what our rights are. Um, okay, let's see what else we've got here. Now, what I want to make clear here is that you can use more than one medicine at a time. You can use Valeriana 200C once a day, for example, and use something for the osteoporosis. And you can also use something, let's say, for arthritis, or someone is also having, let's say, food intolerances and they get bloating. You can use something for that. So now you've got 4 medicines. Blasphemy, isn't it? So effective. For those of you who are in practice, and I know I have a lot of practitioners who come here and follow, if you haven't already employed this and you're rather new to the idea of using more than one medicine, not at the same moment, but in the same schedule, try it. Your practice will skyrocket in your ability. You will find people will get better so much faster. You will be able to see more people in a day. You'll be able to help more people by teaching them this. It will be no longer esoteric. You'll be able to show people how to do this. If you're not a practitioner and you are someone who just likes to use it for your family and community, same thing. Think about how it was when those of you who were using classical, how hard it was to come up with the medicine. You only had one shot. And if you didn't get it, woe to you. Okay. Lots of GI problems. This person has Parkinson's, has not improved with first line Banerjee protocols. Valeriana could certainly be something that could be considered. And I always wonder when people say to me, I've tried, and I'm not saying that this is so for you, Elisa, but I want to make this point. People often say to me, I tried Valeriana, or I tried whatever it is, Metarinum, and it didn't work. That doesn't really tell me enough. I want to know, how did you try it? What potency? What frequency? And over what period of time? And then I want to know what the state of the person before and the state of the person after. Because a lot of times we miss that there has been a shift. Someone with Parkinson's now can pick up a glass more readily. Someone with Parkinson's is not speaking as slowly or as quietly. They're still have Parkinson's. It's not going to they're not going to snap out of it. It is a sobering disease. But you can at least often halt the progression of the disease and then perhaps turn it around a bit. If you catch it early enough and there are no other drugs, and there are some heavy duty drugs used for Parkinson's, thank you again very much, Big Pharma. If there are no other drugs used, it moves along faster with homeopathy and nutrition and other therapies as well. Yes. Do you have an example? Yes. You know one example? Josephine. Hi, Josephine. Josephine's my middle name. And I actually love that name. Yes, I have an example of someone. It was actually a teenage girl who was there was no particular reason why she was like this that the mom or I could put our fingers on. And you know what? It's not even necessarily to be known. And she was skitterish in a way. She was very bright, but she turned constantly. Her emotions was almost like a clock ticking. One emotion, another emotion, another emotion. Next, back to the first one, then the next one. And these emotions were not small. It was, uh, it was an hysterical appearance, and it wasn't all the time like this. It was only episodes of it. So it was most people would say, well, do we use it only during the episode? Well, perhaps. And so, what I mean by that is we might use it in a situation where we only see the episode once a year. By all means, that's when we use it. But if we're seeing these episodes every 2 weeks, every month, then we do have to consider that this is no longer episodic. This is really chronic. It's not little acutes showing up here and there. It's a chronic condition. And once we see an established chronic state, then we know we need to start using this medicine depending on the protocol. I don't have a specific protocol for this. I'm just telling you what I would use. And then I would say that it's Valeriana 200 once a day. That's how I would use it. Now, can you use it twice a day? Yeah, you probably could. Can you use it 3 times a day? No, I would not do that. 4 times? No, I would not do that. I would not go more than that. Can you use it once a week? Certainly. And then you could test it out. You give it only on Sunday mornings, and then you see how this person reacts the rest of the day and perhaps even into the next day or so. And you'll eventually get a feel for it. Um, my doctor is classical and only wants me on my constitutional remedy, but I'm not listening to him. I'm treating my symptoms with your protocols. Well, look, as long as it's working, it's a beautiful thing. And then you can teach him because this is interesting. Dr. Samuel Hahnemann, the father of homeopathy, did not teach constitutionals. I'm sorry to say. And he did not talk about treating the whole person. He talked about treating the whole case meaning the whole condition, the whole case of osteoporosis. I believe that this method that I'm using is more Hahnemannian than other methods. I feel very strongly about this. I spent a lot of time as a classical homeopath, 15 solid years of full time practice as a dyed in the wool classical homeopath. And I gave it up happily when I discovered that you could use more than one medicine at a time. Okay, here we go. Let's see. Someone gets the you know what and is going to use dandelion tincture. How long would they use it for? For dandelion tincture or something like that, I use it for months. Certainly won't do harm. Certainly dandelion tincture is not a homeopathic where you could cause a approving. But you just use it until you say, oh, well, I used the whole bottle. I think I might be done. And then maybe you get a second bottle and you start it up again afterwards. Maybe a month later or so and start it up again. Why not? Dandelion root is a wonderful tonic on many levels. All righty. I have reached the 8:31 mark. I'd like to give you a little more time because we came in so late. Yes, for shedding exposure, calculus for vertigo. You're absolutely right, Nancy. It's not the only one. Don't think for a second there's only one, because if I cracked open a repertory right now and looked up vertigo, I would probably find about 100 remedies that could be chosen. But it is one of the main remedies. And so why not start with the one that is most often found to be useful for the largest number of people on this earth? Yes, taking a class on the organon right now. The organon is so fascinating, and I'm teaching it right now in my academy. It is such a blast. I'm loving it, and I've studied it years ago, um, but this time is different. Now I'm not studying it for me. Now I'm studying it to teach it, and it is pure pleasure. As I've said before, homeopathy is deliciously intellectual. We need intellect. We need our intellect. We need the intellectual. That's what I meant to say. We need the intellect to be stimulated. We want to always be learning. If we don't continually learn, no matter what it is, whatever the subject is, that's how we slowly die on the vine. And, I say, if you are doing something that's against the status quo. It can make you uncomfortable. And that's a very good sign. I want you uncomfortable, comfortable with your choice, comfortable with what you're doing for yourself and your family, but be uncomfortable. That means you're doing the right thing. Doctors value authority. The more educated people are in the realm of universities, the higher their education, the more likely they value authority. But I want to tell you, I don't value authority. And neither do you, or you wouldn't be here, my friends. We question all of it, don't we? We should question all of it. Remember the old bumper sticker that said question authority? What the heck? What's my question is, what happened to that bumper sticker? I thought that was the way we were supposed to think. I thought we were supposed to question it and then think it through twice or even 3 or 4 times. What happened to that kind of repartee that we have in our own brains? What happened to questioning? It's time to question. It's time to get others to question. Teach your children to question, not your authority, because you're there. You're a different kind of authority. Your authority is not bought and paid for. Your authority is there because you are the loving parent. Much different. So, if it's uncomfortable in society now, you're doing the right thing. And we can all link arms, all of us tonight, link arms across the earth. And eventually, I think this is going to change. I really do. I'm much more positive than I used to be about this. I'm seeing a shift in society. Not enough, but we are seeing a shift. And it's a very positive thing. And so, with that, my dear friends, I say good night. Mwah. God bless you. And I will see you next week. Bye.